How's it going, everyone? I'm officially back. I had a week off for spring break, and then following that, I had a weekend in Las Vegas for my 21st birthday. It was an absolute blast, but now I'm here. And I also want to apologize for my hair. I am getting it trimmed up this weekend, so next week's video, stay tuned because I will look a lot more spiffy. But for today's segment, we're going to be talking about my top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL I would want on my team going into this upcoming season, so let's get right into it. So at number 10, I really struggled with putting him here, but I had to. Kirk Cousins. Okay, statistically speaking, he's a top 5 to 7 quarterback in the NFL. He's had over 4,000 yards in the last 3 seasons. Okay, last year, 29 touchdowns, 14 picks. So you can't deny the guy's numbers. But the problem with Kirk, and it's a tale as old as time, is he will never win the big game. And I will go on record here and say this today, and I don't think this is outlandish. Kirk will never win the Vikings an NFC Championship game, and he sure as heck will never win them a Super Bowl either. He has pocket awareness issues, and he loves his checkdowns. That's the problem with him. He doesn't like to take the deep shot and take a lot of risks like a lot of the younger quarterbacks that we're seeing succeed over him are. So Kirk at 10. At number 9, Aaron Rodgers. And before you all come at me up in arms, hear me out. The guy has won back-to-back MVPs in the last couple years. We're forgetting that because we're trying to remember what happened last season on a team that was absolutely terrible, and he still threw for 26 touchdowns and 12 picks, which is pretty good. So Aaron Rodgers, all-time arm talent, top 5 to 10 quarterback of all time, debatably, but holds a lot of baggage. He's a bit of a diva, team wrecker, but now he's going to New York where they've built a team around him, and I guarantee he is going to do a lot better on the New York Jets this year than he did on the Green Bay Packers last year. Aaron Rodgers at 9. At number 8, it's Jared Goff, and this may seem crazy to you all again, but hear me out. Over 4,400 yards last year, 29 touchdowns, 7 picks. That's a great year. That's an MVP-esque year, if you will. I mean, he completely turned the Detroit Lions around with Dan Campbell. Their team almost made the playoffs. They missed it by 1 game, and they had a late run to almost make it. And if you want to bet on a team to make the NFL playoffs for this upcoming year, bet on the Detroit Lions. I wouldn't be surprised if they win the NFC North. I really wouldn't. So I have Goff at 8. So at 7, I have Lamar Jackson. This is another diva quarterback, kind of like Aaron Rodgers. Okay, he's becoming injury prone. He's 1-3 in the postseason. I get it, but the guy has some raw talent that you just cannot teach. He has intangibles you just cannot teach, and you are given them when you are born. The guy's young, and he's got a lot of career ahead of him. He's this generation's Michael Vick. Look out for him this next year in whichever team he goes to. I know he carries a lot of baggage, but just give him a few more tries. Lamar at 7. At number 6, I have Trevor Lawrence. And if you thought that I needed a haircut, this guy needs a haircut. That's the only thing that I can really knock about him, that and his experience in the playoffs. But he's the second quarterback ever to double his passing touchdowns and half his interceptions from the previous year. You know who the other one was? Drew Brees. So that's a pretty good list to be on, if you ask me. Super young, talented, and he completely turned the Jaguars around and made the playoffs in a year where everyone thought that the Jacksonville Jaguars were completely rebuilding. I thought that myself as well. So T-Law at 6. And just ahead of him is Justin Herbert, another young, talented quarterback, very big arm. He can move in the pocket. He's a great quarterback. And the only reason I'm taking him over T-Law right now is because he has a little bit more experience in the playoffs. He hasn't done well in the playoffs or closer to the end of the regular season, but he has a lot more experience than T-Law just because he's older. But I wouldn't be surprised if T-Law moves ahead of him in this upcoming year when I do this segment. And then at number 4, it's Josh Allen. And if you've watched any of my segments, you know that I don't really like Josh Allen, and especially what happened in this last year when Brian Daboll left and he had a complete collapse in his career and had 13 fumbles and 14 picks. But he's a great quarterback, right? I mean, he's a generational talent. The guy's great. He's a nice guy as well. I'd love to have him on my team. He seems like a great team guy. But if he doesn't turn things around in Buffalo and at least make it to the Super Bowl once this year or next year, people are going to start bailing on Josh Allen. I mean, Stephon Diggs is going to leave. He's already a diva there. He left Minnesota in the same manner. I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves Buffalo if he's upset that they won't win a Super Bowl with him on that squad. So I have Allen at 4. Then at number 3, I have Jalen Hurts. This guy is better than Josh Allen because he makes a lot less mistakes. And we saw, that was the question with Jalen Hurts. Can he perform in the big game? Well, if you watch the Super Bowl, he played pretty dang good, if you ask me. So we know he can play in the big game, and his arm is getting a lot better. And that was an issue coming out of college. When I watched him at Alabama and Oklahoma, I thought to myself, this guy's not going to do well in the NFL. He doesn't have an arm. All he does is run. But if you watched him in the Super Bowl, he made a lot of great throws in that game, and I give him a lot of props. He's a great young player for the Philadelphia Eagles, and they got a franchise guy in him. Hurts at 3. Then at number 2, it's Joe Burrow, and these last 2 quarterbacks are going to be running the league for the next decade, so get used to them, guys. Burrow's at 2. He can play in the big game. He's a bit like Tom Brady. He's a great game manager. He's got a great arm. He's got some mobility. And he checks all the boxes of an elite talent. There's really nothing bad to say about Joe Burrow. He's made a Super Bowl. And he's super young. So the Bengals are going to lock him up for the foreseeable future, I think. So I have Burrow at 2. At number 1, I'd obviously want Patrick Mahomes on my team. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I don't know why anybody else would take any other quarterback different than Patrick Mahomes right now. It'd be kind of crazy to say that, I think. But he's the greatest talent we've ever seen. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. We can already say that. And he let the Chiefs win a Super Bowl on a year that people thought that they were rebuilding when Tyreek Hill left. So pretty impressive for Patrick Mahomes. The guy is like the Steph Curry of the NFL. I love watching him play. I'm not a Chiefs fan, although it may come off that way. Not a Chiefs fan. Just love the way Patrick Mahomes plays football. But those are my top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL I would take on my team going into this upcoming year.